Welcome to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Linkowski. I am a certified franchise consultant with Milestone Franchising, and Franchise Focus is all about talking with people in the franchise world and having experts on to discuss everything and anything that can be franchising. And today I have via Zoom Larry Carnell, who is the Vice President of Development for Benetrends Financial. Larry, welcome.
Pleasure to be here, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Very happy to have you on, Larry. There is so much going on today. We know that the applications for businesses have just exponentially skyrocketed in 2020 and 2021, and it doesn't seem like it's slowing down right now in 2022 either. And so out of the gate, you're with Benetrends and you offer financial services for people to, get loans. You want to talk about that a little bit more?
Well, Benetrends has become one of the nation's number one-stop funding resources. We provide a variety of funding resources, SBA, microloans, unsecured, security-backed lending, leasing, but we also pioneered what's become one of the nation's most popular forms of funding, allowing people to use their retirement funds tax penalty debt-free to help them buy businesses or leverage the capability to buy a bigger, better business. One of the interesting facts of the program, it can literally force the government to assume up to 50% of the financial risk of starting a business.
And we're going to go really deep dive into what that program is. Let's just take a step back for a moment, Larry. And this is a really complicated time to own a business. However, there's challenges that you're seeing. What are the challenges that you're seeing on your end?
Well, to be quite direct, I think one of the biggest challenges that we have is that people often have a lot of fears and anxiety about becoming a business owner. But I believe now may be one of the best times to start a business because, to be quite direct, there is no security in the JOB anymore, especially once you move into your 40s and 50s. The risk of being downsized is now at a record pace. The business owners are often targeting people as they progress in age for downsizing because your healthcare costs can be as much as 3 to 4 times greater than people in their 20s and 30s. And so in that case, they can actually save money by downsizing their older labor force. And this is creating some challenges for people that want to, provide security for their family. There's simply not any security in the JOB anymore.
Yeah, the days of the pocket watch and the 50-year retirement, they seem to be a bygone era, that is for sure. And I know in speaking with you previously, you had mentioned about, that companies target as you start hitting into your 40s, that risk of downsizing goes even higher because of the issue with the health insurance, correct?
Correct. In fact, I've been lecturing at outplacement firms for over a decade. And what I've seen just in the last decade, if you go back 10 years, about 40% of my audience were people in their mid-40s or older. Now, 85% of my audience is in their mid-40s and older. So that risk is growing exponentially. But it's not just an issue about keeping that job you have. It's being marketable to be able to find a replacement job. The problem is it's taking twice as long for people to find replacement jobs, and that next job you take, on average, they're taking a 20 to 30% cut in pay. They only keep that job for 2.4 years. Now you're much older again. Now you're back on the same hamster wheel, but because you burned through your savings trying to find that second job, you now don't have the buffer, and you can quickly get yourself into a pretty tough situation if you lose that second job.
But Larry, we have the Great Resignation happening. There's millions of people swirling all around that, have quit their jobs. So you would think that they've got the pick of the job that they want, no?
Well, that's what you think, but the challenge is the people that most likely are getting those jobs are often younger people because the cost to the business is often lower to hire a younger people or a younger person than the older people. And unfortunately, I think that's going to continue to move in that direction.
So you just see that continuing, not getting any easier. It's just going to get a little bit more difficult. And it was on that trajectory before the pandemic, so it doesn't seem like there would be a reason for it to slow down. I know there's also the great upscale where people are, they're going and they're jumping from a job and they're landing in another job where they are getting an increase in pay or in better benefits and what have you. But you're saying that's really happening for people that are of younger age. Quite difficult when you're getting into that middle age and older spectrum, correct?
Correct. And the other issue is technology is now enabling business owners to outsource many of those services overseas. So a lot of the better paying jobs that they used to have to hire here locally, now with the age of technology, they can actually have somebody in another country do the job at often a much lower cost.
Right, which adds a whole nother level of complexity, that is for sure. So one thing that you had said to me that I thought was really intriguing, when we hear about how difficult the labor issue is out there, especially when you're a franchise owner and you have a service-based business and you need a larger labor pool, or you've got a restaurant and you need 12 to 15 employees, and that's one of the things that someone that's looking into buying a franchise, it gives them pause. But you say that funding can be a helpful tool for recruiting and retaining employees. Can you expand upon that?
Correct. Certain funding vehicles can create vehicles like retirement plans and other things to separate yourself from the competition. These programs can not only provide you incentives for the people that are really your best candidates, the people that want long-term employments. Those are the people that you want to attract. And at the same time, it's not just about hiring the right person. It's how can you reduce your operating expenses? And there are programs out there that can help you reduce your payroll taxes and create a retention tool for your employees. On top of that, many of these incentive programs can require the employee to stay with you for several years to fully benefit from these programs. So if you have a competitor down the street offering 50 cents or $1 more an hour, they're less likely to jump ship if there's incentives in place to encourage that employee to stay with you. So again, it's all about not only having a good environment to work in, but have financial incentives for that employee to stay with you versus jumping to the next job that may be offering a slightly higher wage, but not the benefits.
Right, creating that loyalty in the employee, that they want to stay and that they don't just want to sit there and jump ship just for a small little bump in raise, that they are a little bit more vested in being with the company. And you're saying that by putting these different types of programs in place, you're giving that to the employee to say, hey, I'm more than just an employee at this company, right?
Oh, absolutely. And one of the challenges, understand my background's accounting and finance. I've owned several businesses. I'm a former Entrepreneur of the Year by the National Association of Entrepreneurship. And to be quite direct, many of the techniques that I've used to grow successful businesses and help thousands of people grow successful businesses are techniques that, to be quite direct, a lot of people getting into business are not aware of. And I've always encouraged people, if you want to be successful, do what successful people do. And rather than trying to learn the mistakes on your own, learn from somebody else's mistakes. And I kind of joke, if you make enough mistakes, they call you an expert. So for better or worse, y'all stuck with me today. But I've been where you're about to go. And I can help share techniques, strategies, and vehicles that will help you accumulate, accelerate, protect wealth, mitigate taxes, but more importantly, increase your potential for success. To be quite direct, the Department of Labor's own study showed that 50% of people that start businesses are often out of business within 5 years. but over 90% of my clients are still in business 5 years later, is not because I have some magic wand. It's that I work with experts like yourself and other colleagues to bring tools to the table to help them not just get into business, but help them be successful through the course of that business.
And stay in business, right?
That's
it's all
the key.
well and fine when a franchisor, champions that they opened up, 350 locations, in 6 months. But then what happens? And so we want to make sure that these people have made a sizable investment, that they continue to stay in business. And so you're saying, and yes, you are undoubtedly an expert in this field, that you're saying that with the expertise that you offer and the people that you know, that it just gives that much more of a solid foundation for someone that is looking to open up their business in a franchise or otherwise, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. So we are still in the throes of, the aftermath, hopefully, the aftermath of the pandemic, that we're going into more of an endemic state. But what's the most important thing that a business, someone that's considering going into business right now, that they should be considering? We have inflation, we have the labor shortage issue, we've got now on, Europe, everything that's going on where things are kind of unsettled. So someone that's watching this are like, why the heck would I want to go in business right now? What would you say to that? And I know you say it's all about the job. It's all about is your job going to be there tomorrow? Right?
Well, to be quite direct, in every economy, there are certain businesses that are doing well. In fact, to be quite direct, as a result of the health issues and things that we've had hundreds of thousands of businesses that have shut their doors. Now, what that's done is that those businesses that normally provided all those services, they're no longer there. So that demand's still there. It's a great opportunity in certain industries to work with professionals to help you filter the good from the bad. And in every industry, there's industries that are doing better than others. And that's the reason you work with a consultant or somebody to help filter the good from the bad. And throughout the history of America, there's been changes, new opportunities that are coming up. And what you want to do is tap into resources and experts that can help you understand what are the hot concepts today. Because the hot concepts today may not have been here 5 years ago, but it's constantly changing. I mean, there are literally over 80 different industries and sub-industries with thousands of franchise opportunities that have already, through trial and error, developed a system to maximize your success. And anything that you're going to check, you're going to go through your due diligence, working with experts to help you compare one industry to another, one franchise to another, to help you find the ones that are doing well right now. And that's what you got to do. But just because we've had this economy issue and the challenges, that doesn't mean that there's the demand for those products and services have disappeared. In many cases, they're now coming back, and in other situations, we've created other opportunities that may not have been there a few years ago.
Right. Great point. We're going to take a pause right here, Larry, and we're going to hear a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
My name is Rocco Fiorentino. I'm the president and CEO of Benetrends, and we are in North Wales, Pennsylvania, and we were founded in 1983 in California. We are in the financial services and insurance business primarily for the franchise industry, so we fund and insure new franchisees, entrepreneurs, as they enter into the new business with a franchise brand. One of the products we offer is the 401k rollover for a business startup, and it allows individuals to use their 401k retirement funds to open and operate a new business, tax deferred and penalty free. We started this about 30 years ago, and it's been a great product, especially when there was a little bit of a credit crunch a few years back where access to credit was limited, so the 401k funds came in very handy. We offer a number of different products and services for new entrepreneurs, for small businesses. So we certainly do all the funding and financing in a number of different ways. We also offer a full range of commercial insurance and health insurance, and we also do all the administrative work, the payroll and HR that may be needed for some entrepreneurs who've never been in business before and kind of ready to bridge that gap. In order to be best in class, you've got to be very consistent, and we call that business continuity. So our team members are the most important folks, and we make sure that they communicate, they participate, and they advocate, not only for themselves, not only for their clients, but certainly for the brand Benetrends itself as well. We love to put entrepreneurs into business and let them finally get to build the dream they always had.
We're Dr. Mark and Liz from Marriage Matters, a show that inspires, instills hope, and empowers couples to weather the stresses of married life.
Join us each week to hear how couples, real couples like you, have overcome challenges that were hurting their marriages, as well as getting expert advice on ways to nurture a happy and healthy relationship.
Tune in Fridays at 4:30 p.m. and Thursdays at 9 a.m. on RVN TV.
The new Kentucky Fried Chicken Sandwich with brioche buns, mayo, pickles, and a quarter-pound filet as far as the eye can see. Get comfy, it's gonna be a while. This thing's huge. Get the new Kentucky Fried Chicken Sandwich for just $3.99. It's finger-licking good.
Have you heard? Join me, Heather Darling, weekly for a different spin on politics, business, law, and other key issues you will not want to miss right here on RVN TV.
Welcome back to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Lankowski, and right with us and via Zoom is Larry Carnell, who is the Vice President of Brand Development. I keep saying brand development, I'm not sure why. Development for Benetrends, too many B's. And Larry, we were talking all about the difficulties that are facing candidates today when they're looking at buying a franchise, but there's also so much great opportunity out there. And Benetrends being a wonderful resource for people to look at funding. You know, it is constantly discussed that candidates need to get into funding, the sooner the better. And that's my take on it. As soon as I start talking with someone, I'm like, okay, I've got some great people I need to introduce you to start talking about funding, because it's a really important piece in the franchise space. And the sooner the better. And the thing that sets Benetrends apart from your competition is that you have this program called a RAP or Rainmakers Program. And you briefly touched upon it. I want you to really explain to everyone what these programs are, please.
Well, most people know me as the guy that introduced this program to the very first franchise, very first business acquisition decades ago. And over the course of especially the last 2 decades, it's exploded in popularity. You know, I've told everybody in this new economy, it's not how much wealth you accumulate in life, it's how much you keep. And wealth protection has become critically important in this new economy. The erosion of wealth due to healthcare related issues has now become the #1 reason for bankruptcy in the history of this country. It's jumped from 20-some-odd% to 67% of all bankruptcies due to advancements in healthcare technology. And these costs are just going to continue to rise. The problem is we spend more money the last 3 years of our lives than we spend often the previous 70 plus years of our lives combined. And this is often leaving our spouses and our children destitute. Our financial resources or wealth that we create through the previous point of our life can disappear in a very short period of time. So we definitely want that wealth protected for our surviving spouse, who is often entering the point in their lives where they're also going to start having healthcare related issues, with one major differential, and that's long-term care. A single spouse is 3 times more likely to have long-term health care costs because they don't have somebody there to take care of them. So the ROBS or RAP program, which is Rollovers for Business Startups, that's the first generation product. It was actually introduced by Lynn Fisher, an ERISA attorney who started Benetrends in the 1980s. That program allows people to use their pre-tax retirement funds from traditional IRAs or 401ks, tax, penalty, debt-free. But there's now a new product called the RAP, or Roth Advantage Plan. Some people refer to it as a Rainmaker Advantage Plan, that creates a Roth vehicle that not only allows you to build protected wealth. Retirement plan assets can never be seized by creditors, but it grows tax-free. So these programs enable you to invest your retirement funds in the stock of your own company. Many of us have worked for companies where we had a 401k, we make deductions into our plan, and we literally have the ability to buy stock in the company that we work for. Well, guess what? If you've done that, you've already done a ROBS or a RAP program. So this is technically not new, but we show you how to do it to buy stock in your own company. And that money can be used as resources to finance a business. You can also use that as a down payment for an SBA loan, allowing you to literally, in many cases, quadruple the investment reach that you would normally be able to have if you did not have those resources available.
And you can start this with a very small sum of money, correct? I believe it's $10,000, right? That you can get this
Correct.
going?
With the ROBS program, that has to have retirement funds. But the RAP, or Roth Advantage Plan, you don't even have to have retirement funds. So virtually everybody on this presentation, if they have $10,000 in cash, we can create a vehicle that allows them to have lifelong wealth protection, that they'll never pay any capital gains tax or income tax when the business is sold. This can literally put hundreds of thousands of dollars in your pocket that would normally go into the government's pocket. But it's just an incredible product. It's been featured on the cover of Bankers magazine, and it's preferred up to 10 to 1 over the traditional ROBS program that's been around for almost 40 years.
And you're able to speak about this and handle it really well with candidates only because of your tax background. Not everyone at Benetrends can do something like this, correct?
Well, our team is familiar with the program, but there are some technical questions that often your accountant or attorney will have. So a lot of times people want to work with me directly because probably over 95% of the RAPs that have been done, I've personally done. Again, if you've been around as long as I have, you learn through trial and error how to avoid mistakes. But if you have questions about that program, a lot of people ask to speak to me directly.
So you can use this tool for the ROBS program, and you and I use these terms interchangeably because we live it and breathe it all the time. The ROBS program, you've got a 401k, you want to take some money out of there to inject into your new business or to help fund your SBA. That's one route that you can go. But one of the problems that can be with the ROBS program is that double taxation piece. So when you've got this RAP program or Rainmakers Program, it's a different type of vehicle. You're not touching your traditional retirement savings. You're going and creating a Roth IRA for this, or you can do that, and then still get your SBA loan like you normally would, and then you would pay yourself through your Roth program. Does that sum it up for those of us that this is a little bit more tricky?
Correct. And with both of these programs, you have to structure these through a C corporation because a simple LLC doesn't issue stock. So understand, this is a stock investment, no different than investing in Walmart, Tesla, or Apple. You're buying stock or investing in the stock of your own company. As the value of that stock goes up or down, so does the value of that retirement plan.
Right, and thank you so much for bringing that up. I meant to say that, yes, it has to be through a C Corp. And again, this gets a little bit more technical for people, but an LLC is a very, standard type of business that you can have, and then that C Corp is more complicated. And then when you go to sell, because franchising is all about having that exit strategy where, at the end of your term of contract, you're either continuing on or you are transferring the business or you're selling it. You're then selling your shares of stock, correct, to the person that wants to buy into this business.
Correct. And just to address your previous question or comment about the risk of double taxation in a C Corp, that's the reason it's so important to work with a full service retirement plan design firm. In recent years, there are a variety of resources that allow you to access your retirement funds, but some of those providers do that through a simple 401k hybrid product, which technically allow you access to the retirement funds. But the problem is, once the business starts to generate a strong six-figure income, then you can run into the risk of double taxation. We can illustrate how we eliminate that risk. And more importantly, as you move into your 40s and 50s, you start to have expenses that, our kids don't have. When you're in your 20s and 30s, you don't have the major need for life insurance, disability, long-term care, healthcare deductibles aren't very expensive. But when you get to my age, I'm a little older than a lot of the audience, you then start to have rising costs, especially healthcare. Your healthcare costs can be 3 to 4 times greater than somebody in their 20s or 30s. And we can, with customized programs and customized structures, we can show you how to get 60% greater buying power and reduce a lot of those out-of-pocket expenses for things that will just continue to get more expensive as you progress in age.
Wonderful. Well, Larry, I can't thank you enough for coming on and explaining this program and letting others hear about it and know that are out in that audience thinking about purchasing a business, that this is another way for them to fund this business that they may not have been familiar with. Oftentimes, people hear about these quiet ways of helping to protect your legacy and your wealth, and it's not really brought to the masses for everyone to know about. So I thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. We're going to put up your contact information so that the audience can reach out and contact you. And Larry is not shy about you contacting him on his cell phone. So his cell phone is right there for you. And thank you so much again for joining us. And I am Lisa Linkowski. This is Franchise Focus. We air every Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I am the owner of Milestone Franchising. You can learn more about me at milestonefranchising.com. Until next time, we look forward to seeing you.